glass of water. Good morning, everybody. I know that there was a presentation on the Chinese social credit system yesterday. Is Pierre Sell in here? So maybe he is watching. So hi, Pierre. Because I'm complimenting a bit what he said yesterday. So what I will tell you is what my friend and colleague Martin Wösler, who is a sinologist, and I found out about the origins of the Chinese social credit system and what I was able to observe last September in several places in China about it. So we did a book which published the original source texts we found since 1999, something like that, until 1919, in Chinese and in German translation with comments. And you could buy this in a bookshop. And if you're interested, you could send me an email and I could provide you with a PDF of this material. So we have source documents that range from the early 2000s until the late 2019s. And I will very shortly skip through the documents that we found and give you a short comment on this. And in the end, I'll show you which observations I could do last September being in China for a month. So there is the first document we have published and translated. This is from 2002, Zhang Jimin. And it says and proves that this is to be dated back the least until 2002. And others like Pierre Sell yesterday also found documents that are earlier. So this is much older than we normally think. And the attribution to Xi Jinping is totally wrong because it was much earlier than that. So then the next document we have is from 2007, State Council, Opinions on the Construction. And there is the reason for that social credit system is the lack of trust. And you find this as the most important term in these documents. It's always about trust. So the ideological basic is the thinking of Deng Xiaoping, and it is to influence people on creditworthiness, but from the very beginning encompassed, at least encompassed, the whole of the society. Sanctions, restrictions on mobility for those who break the trust. Then the next is the State Council letter from 2007. And a joint committee is formed to actually implement this system. Council of the State, Security, Reform, Trade, People's Bank, Customs, Tax, Industry, Law, Insurance. So everything that's good and influential in the state administrations was called together. And the main concern still was the financial trust, financial credit. And this is also for good reasons, because you might not know that the banking system is quite new in China, much younger than in the other, say, countries of comparable development. So trust and security of financial transaction was really a very big issue that time, and still is. So there are good reasons to do that. Then we have a document from 2012. There is an interministerial joint conferencing, and there was already adjustments to the first ideas of what the social credit system should be. Now we have explicit inclusion of trustworthiness also of the government. So this is an idea, and this is a challenge we don't know how much this actually will work, but in the source documents you will find that also the trustworthiness of the government was at stake. That is corruption, for instance. And also this should be included in a system that should help to adjust problems with that. People's Bank of China and their pilot project were promoted. And as you also have heard yesterday from Pierre Sell, there are a bunch of pilot projects in pilot provinces and cities who all try in different ways to implement something like the social credit system. And you see it's a very, very big patchwork from the beginning. Then we have another document from 2014, State Council, printing and distributing the construction. So it's still obviously under construction. And this is the text that is mostly read in the West. It circulates in the internet for quite some time in a not very good translation from the Chinese. And on this, most of the reports in the Western media are based about the social credit system. But it's just one text out of many, and it is 2014, predicting and planning to be done with it in 2020. Anyway, that was very, very ambitious, and in accordance to what you heard yesterday, you can't say that this actually took place. One reason is the COVID pandemic that stopped everything, so things changed and took other ways. And it was very ambitious anyway. So trustworthiness, trust is the very central word in this very lengthy and tedious to read document. It is full of repetitions. That means these passages are the most important that are repeated over and over again in that official political talk and speak and ideological. Then there are different other texts like State Administration of Taxation, which is one central institution for this planned system because it concerns also taxpayers. So there is a classification of A to D taxpayers. The best ones, the A ones, pay their taxes in time and they get benefits for fast processing, and the taxpayers D who have negative points. By the way, there are very many point systems. This is just one of the very many that are in circulation in China. Are restricted in their businesses, so this is a system which gives incentives and punishments on bureaucratical means. And we found out that this is based on the experiences of techniques in the US, Japan, and other countries. So the inventor of the Chinese version of it studied the US, Japanese, and also the German systems like Schufa. People from Germany will know that, as models for what is done here at the financial side. So then we have discussions on this from 2014. So that was a sort of dissemination. People should be informed about what happened. So journalists were called in to ask questions and officials answered. So this is not free speech, but say propaganda to disseminate the idea and to prepare people for that. What the most important infrastructural means was to have an identification number for every citizen. This is for the database people. This is the key you always need for any item in your database. And that was, for very many reasons, clearly to be seen that everybody who is under the reign of such a social credit system should have an identification number. That was rolled out. And we have another text from 2016, accelerating the construction. So it was known that this thing is under construction and that this construction has to be accelerated. And there are all sorts of mechanisms that should be built in to reward sincerity, to do rewards like discounts on real estate purchases or air travel, and there should be possibilities of objection and review if there are any wrong entries in it. And there's also encouragement of denunciation of others to then be put into that system, into the databases. And then there is a text which was especially interesting because it deals with the difference and connection between credit information, that is financial information, and social credit. And this is from 2017. And there the idea was explicitly stated that creditworthiness in the financial sector, and this was where everything started also in China, was to expand into a society-wide worthiness of honesty. So this is the main idea, and it was really actually distinguished. One was distinguished from the other. Healthy development of economy and society. So this was the overall idea still in 2017. Then there is that Credit China website that also we heard about yesterday, which is a website where you could read about the credits companies and individuals have. If you have the identification number, you could put it in, and then you could find out about the credit worthiness. And this is still online. And there you could find regulations for those restrictions on flight and fast trains. And there is another, say, more or less propaganda thing just before the COVID pandemic. And there it was actually stated explicitly that this has to be implemented, as is very clear for everybody of us, as an IT system. And that the number of denied airline tickets is now more than 10 million train tickets are denied at the number of 10 millions in that year, 2018. Then you could look up the entries of the Wikipedia type systems in China and in Taiwan. And if you do so, then the Chinese social credit system is compared with the credit protection. And it should be centralized in government and should be a perfection of the Western models. And actually it was thought of as an export article also to the Western countries. The Taiwanese Wikipedia entry says something different. It points to Sesame Pay, so the main financial industry places, Alibaba. And actually, if you have an Alipay account, like everybody has to have, who wants to stay for some time in China to buy tickets or to buy something else, you use your smartphone for buying a coffee or something else, then you have a credit score. I also have one, a very humble one, because I didn't pay much. But actually, this is the stuff that is actually in place that everybody knows and has. This is a bit different for the social side of the social credit system. So, but let's now come back to Credit China, and this could be a research you could do by yourself, because this is online, also available in the West. You could look it up, creditchina.gov.cn, And if you have anybody's names or company name that you want to look up, for instance, say Coca-Cola or Volkswagen or what else, or some individual, you can actually look it up there and you are pointed to documents that are related to the legal activities of those companies and people. So this is a collection of the traces that companies and people left behind while doing businesses. So that I don't think you would find any rubbish put beside the rubbish bin there, but these are legal documents about obligations and whether they have been met or not. And this also shows you the main characteristic of the whole thing. This is still on. Oh, I told you this. Then there is the Global Times with very much interesting material. You could look it up for yourself also. I will skip this. Very concrete. And we'll come to the conclusion and state of affairs. So this website is on and there. There are actually reports on refused flight tickets and the like. And there is advertising for the social credit system. So my friend and colleague Martin Wösler did a photograph at Changsha Airport, and there you can see that obviously there are still plans. So this is a picture that says it is not only your actual personal ID that is important, but also the worthiness in the social credit, that is your second ID, so to speak. This is the statement of this placard. So what I found out last September is that the social credit system actually is only concerns businesses of a certain bigger kind. For instance, I asked a lady who put up a snack bar in the basement of the Shanghai Tower, and she said she had to get loans, but she never was confronted with anything like a social credit system. So these are businesses that are too small to be concerned with it. Businesses like e-commerce centers, and I had the opportunity to talk to one of the directors of such a center, are actually concerned with it. And besides of everything, you don't need any social credit system to see that there is surveillance in China. There is surveillance everywhere, as you know. But that also, I did one thing that I found was funny, because I've seen images like the image to the left. This is in Shanghai, near the Bund. If you ever are in Shanghai, you will certainly go there, which is because it's one of the most beautiful places in Shanghai. And you see a traffic light for pedestrians, and there is somebody picked out, and the face is shown and the name is shown because this person has crossed the road at red lights. So this is iconic for the whole thing, and being taken as the proof for the, say, everyday operation of social credit system in China. So I wanted to see it actually, how it works, and went there, and the right-hand image is I did. So you see a lady crossing the street with red lights. Nothing is happening. Even a policeman is in the back. So this is just an actual photo I did. So I was wondering what's happening there. And I've seen many of those traffic lights, say about a dozen or 20, and they are still in operation. They show the traffic lights and they show the crowd crossing the street. But there is no face recognition turned on, at least obviously. So I was asking myself, what is it? And asked others, very many people, why isn't that, it did work in 2018? Why doesn't it work in 2023? and I got different answers. And in the end, I found a very funny, easy, say, computer science type error and flaw, because in November 2018, this went viral, that lady who is the CEO of the biggest air condition factory and company in China, her face was printed on buses, and every time she passed by, because she was on that bus, and it was red lights for the pedestrians because the bus came by, she got this scolding in the system, and this was funny, and it was also the source of mockery about everything. Also, dogs went viral because they did not obey to the restrictions. So here we have one very simple reason why systems are turned down. One again, because they are not perfect. This is, say, a typical computer systems error, not to do it in the right way. So what would we have to do with it? I went there. I asked people, say, which do not do big business, and they say they don't even know about it. They have their Alipay credit, financial credit score. But I also talked to people that have much more influence and do bigger business, and they say actually in big business or big business, you would have to obey all this. So there is something lingering in the background. I have the impression that also the COVID pandemic has done a lot of damage to the plans. There are those plans. There have been. I've shown you that one propaganda billboard which says your social credit is your second identity card and shows who you really are. There are things that have been turned down, but I would not expect that this is not being pursued in the future. And there is a second strand of development, that is those apps, those health apps, which have been used, as you might know, to restrict people from gathering at places to protest against their loss of their money because of bankruptcy. They had just a red light on their health app and were not able to leave their house, actually, to go to these conventions. So there are very many other means to control people. It's not just the social credit system, but I would not say that this is now done and turned off. I don't have this impression, but we would have to look. It seems to me that there is something in the background that might show up in the near future, and we should not forget that this is a very, very, very big computer science and information system endeavor to put this up for 25-something provinces with different administrations in such a big country like China. So it is hard to tell what actually is being done, mostly also in the background, but there are very concrete plans which you could look up in our book, and there are signs of that this is still pursued, but it seems to be sleeping a bit at the moment. This is my impression. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Martin. We have time for like one question, if there is any out there. We got one right here. Oh, and there's one back there. You'll just have to ask later.
Thank you. I'll be brief. You were mentioning on one of the slides something that social credit promotes sincerity or trustworthiness. So what exactly China Communist Party mean by this word sincerity? Because first of all, it's a different word in Mandarin. Maybe it has several connotations. And another one is maybe some kind of a newspeak, like in Orwell's 1984, when there is one word that's promoted by the ruling party, which has a very distorted meaning from how we perceive it. Both your personal opinion and as a scholar.
Yeah. So what I've learned from the texts I've read in German translation and commented was that this has actually a very broad meaning. That is, everything against breach of good rules. That is, there were many scandals like the milk powder scandal. There were many accidents on workplaces. There was the initiative and the actual fact that China became member of the World Trade Organization, and for global capitalism to work, you would have to have trust that your investments would be paid back. So this is on a very, very broad spectrum of trust within the country, but also trust to global capitalism. Because there were so many breaches of conduct in the early online trade business, that from those systems where you could give feedback to the trustworthiness of the vendor, this should be blown up to a statewide system, because that were the first system that actually worked, because that was really necessary, because there was so much fraud. So trust is on a very, very broad, in a very broad sense, everything with contradicts the rules of state and of the law. Now this is more a behavioristic attempt. You can't see anything that there's any thought control. If you go to the country, everybody knows where the red lines are. You could talk to everybody about every subject except it touches the red lines of non-speakability. So everybody knows that everybody knows what goes wrong, but everybody sticks to the rules. So this sincerity thing actually in its effect is something which you could only understand on a behavioristic sense.
Hey. Anyway. I'm very curious if you are tracking or, like other governments that are replicating this kind of system, because it is something that kind of almost happened in my country at some point. I'm from Venezuela. The other part is like, what is your opinion of network states and the kind of like, because they're kind of like these blockchain-based proto-nations are pretty much like doing social scoring in a sense. So I'm very curious about your take on that as well.
In the first place, this system was thought to be an export article by the founder of it. And in our book there is an interview with him who said if the French would have had our social credit system, the yellow vest movement wouldn't have happened. So they are silly that they didn't buy it from us. This is the Chinese way of thinking. But as you also know, there are cities like Bologna, I think, who planned to implement stuff like this. And say if you have a more distant look, it is like, well, this is a hard in English, Ordnungswidrigkeit. So it's not about, say, criminal penalty, because for that there are those juridical courts. It's below that, like the points in Flensburg we have in Germany. If you drive too fast and do it too often, then your license will got. And it is also something like Scherbengericht, which was in the antique Greece. If you behave too much, too wrongly, then you are pushed out of the society. This is something like this than a second juridical system. It is something that should direct, actually, the idea is cybernetic, actually. The question is whether it will work. I don't know. But we all know from attempts to implement things like these, also in the West.
Okay. Hello? Hello. All right, sorry, we are out of time, unfortunately, but find Martin around the conference if you have other questions, as I'm sure you do. That was fascinating. Thank you so much. And we're going to take about 5 minutes, and then if you haven't checked your schedule this morning, there's a little surprise on there, so we're going to be back in a few with a fireside chat with someone you may have heard of.